Oscar Lopez present. Next item on the agenda is Gerald, please bow your heads for a moment of silence. Remember my brother that passed away 2 weeks ago, and remember your loved ones, and your very close ones. Amen. We go to item number 3 of the pledge. Richard?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We go to item number 4, public participation here. Go to item 5, village instruction. Edison?
Trustees, this evening we will have begin our hearing. This is our public hearing to discuss the 2019-2020 proposed tax rate and budget. At this point, I'd like to have Ms. Conway come up, please.
Good evening, Mr. Lopez, Dr. Moreno, and board members, parents, and patrons.
Ms. Conway.
Go on.
And Ms. Conway, are we using this packet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's do this.
All right, for the first one.
There are puppies, if everybody wants one. Yes, no? The reason for this meeting is to conduct a public hearing on the tax rate and the budget. Parents and patrons are asked to join in any conversation. Okay, here we go.
Sorry.
This is our budget. It's in 3 sections, and like I said, it's in your packet. The first section is in yellow. That's what we refer to as the M&O budget, maintenance and operation budget. Most of the revenue that we receive from that is for state tax, state comes from the state as revenue, and the other remaining amount is from local taxpayers. The second column, which is orange, is food service. All of that money comes from breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the dinner program, and the expenses of those programs. And the third column is also state money and local taxpayer money, and it's called the debt service fund, or the INS fund, interest and sinking. That's basically bond indebtedness. We went to the voters, we asked for some bonds. We received money for those bonds, paid for Driscoll, the high school, Lots Beach. It was all capital, and now we have to pay that back. So this is just the expense part. This is the principal and interest to pay those bondholders back. Any questions? All these 3 funds are what the board is required to adopt. They don't have to adopt any of the other funds, but these are the board-approved funds, and they're required to approve at least at the function level, and here are your functions. So when and if the board later on approves this budget, they're approving at the function level, and the dollar amounts, because I can't see that, that's why I printed them, is $36,295,552 That's in your final column, and it's the revenue amount here. Generally, we want to pass a balanced budget. We didn't, or we're not going to. Revenue is actually more than expense, which is good. If you're not gonna pass a balanced budget, you wanna pass one that has more revenue than it does expense. So the bottom line here is a little over $620,000 revenue over expense, and we can still use that money for one-time expenses. And since we're adopting it in this manner, if we use any of those funds, we have to go to the board to amend it. Right? If we decide we need 100,000 or 200,000, we'll come to the board for a budget amendment, taking that out of fund balance and adding it to one of these functional areas. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe a silly question.
No
But
questions are silly.
I'm sorry, guys, if it's silly, but I really gotta know. So this 621,000 is just out there? It's just money we didn't spend?
It's money that we don't plan on spending in this budget.
We don't.
If
plan.
something comes up, and again, you would want one-time expenditures. If you'll remember, at the last budget workshop, we talked about 440,000 was coming from a property tax review that we did. That's coming in this year. And another 200,000 from, the two big grants we have. They're ending next year. We get about 200,000 in indirect costs from those two grants. So one time, it's not coming back next year. So it's better to, what I call rat hole that money for needs.
So why would we not put that in our fund balance?
It will go into fund balance. If we don't spend it, it's gonna automatically drop into fund balance. And that's why here at the very sorry, at the very bottom, okay. Goodness. At the very bottom, I'm adding that to your fund balance.
Okay.
And again, general fund and athletics is your maintenance and operation. We split the two just to keep athletics separate, but in the whole scheme of things, when we do the audit and when we send it up for PEMS, we combine those two funds for one fund, 199.
So trustees and for the audience again, because this is a public hearing, when you look at that particular piece, and that's because as a school district, we took 2 extra steps to try to recover some funds. So most likely, it would have been close to just having a balanced budget. But the reason we have a little extra revenue this time is because we did take an additional effort on, tell me again, it's a property tax. We
Property
went out.
tax in 2015 and 2017, we lost value, and the comptroller didn't know that. So we let the comptroller know, and now we're getting more state funding because our property taxes were less.
And that was a new initiative in our school district this year. So that's how we're able to recoup some of that funding.
So our, fund balance is at 6.4, right?
That's estimated, yes,
And
sir.
that is what's required for.
We want to have at least 3 months, yes, sir, and that's gonna be right at 3 months.
So have you approved budgets like this before, Sid?
Not with additional revenue like this. Normally,
This is good.
Absolutely
It's
good.
a real good thing. Well, because that funding, again, like you said, for that one-time expense, if there's something that we're really needing in our school district as a one-time, those are ways that extra funding that we'll be able to take care of.
So after we approve it, it will go to our fund balance?
Yes, ma'am.
Automatic.
We're gonna send this into our finances, and we're budgeting revenues, but it's higher than expense, so the difference, in order to balance that, is also automatically gonna go to 3,700, which is fund balance. So if we need to come back later on and do things that aren't in our current budget, we're gonna have to pull that out. We've already recognized the revenue, but we can recognize the expense and put it back in 3,700.
So let me just pretend, let's pretend, and it's actually something actual, but let's pretend that this is a way that you look at it and as a board. So for example, tonight we're gonna bring a line item on a chiller, okay? Now, I have a couple comments on that chiller when we get to that. So let's just pretend that that's funding now that could be used that we didn't expect specifically for that chiller. And they're pretty expensive.
She said we're not gonna spend it, so you might wanna ask her first.
We're not gonna spend it without your approval to spend it.
It's going in our savings account.
Yeah. but it's something we can count on, so that's why it's gonna be a good thing.
Yes.
It'll come to us as a budget amendment,
Yes, ma'am.
whenever it's gonna be used.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Has this board ever approved it and found it? I don't think so.
Well, and I could have, I mean, I
No,
could
no,
have
no,
dumped it in
I know,
51.
This is good, I just wanna know in the history before I was here. I don't think we have, it's good.
If we would have put it in a function, then you can bet it would have been spent. This way, you're required to approve if we pull it out,
That's good, thank you. That's the only question.
okay? Because of this hearing, we are required to put this ad in the paper, and again, I printed it out because it's so hard to see. But 10 days, at least 10 days prior to this meeting, or no more than 30 days prior to this meeting, we're required to put this ad in a quarter page of the newspaper of greatest circulation. I chose to go ahead and put it in the Caller Times on the 14th, so you'll see it in there. And on the 15th, Thursday, it was in the Record Star, just to make sure that we got it in both papers. And I just wanna highlight the two main areas. The yellow, that I highlighted in yellow, that's what we're asking the board to approve. A tax rate of 1.0683 for M&O, maintenance and operation, and 50 cents for INS, which is your debt service, interest and sinking. The next section is what the amount increased, our maintenance and operation budget, which was in those yellow columns. That was your athletic and 199, increased by 5.51%, mainly because House Bill 3, the legislation required that we increase teacher salaries, counselor salaries. That's the reason for the almost a little over 5.5% increase over last year's approved budget. And then debt service increased by 6.37%. It didn't, the payment didn't really increase. We just changed how we recognize some revenue from the IRS. The IRS is actually paying about $280,000 of our interest. So I showed that now as an expense and revenue instead of washing the two. So it really didn't go up, but I have to post it that way. Is that okay? Everybody understood that? And then the final part that's to me most important is how does this affect our taxpayers? In Robstown, the average homestead is the taxable rate is, the tax is $79,309. That's an average value on a residence.
So assuming that the trustee, and for the audience, now we're down at the blue.
I'm sorry. Which, given this 10-cent reduction, they would save about $23 on their tax bill. Not much, but it is 10 cents on the tax rate.
It's going down.
Yes, ma'am. And next year, you'll see in a minute, next year it's gonna go down even more because of the legislation in House Bill 3. Okay? The next thing that is required to be posted is on our website. The yellow columns are 2018-19 approved budget, and the blue column is the proposed 19-20. And it's done by function, which is, sorry, wrong button. By function, which is what the board is required to approve. Any questions? Okay, nuts and bolts of the tax rate. Because, again, of House Bill 3, we were required to compress our tax rate. In 18-19, we had a $1.17 tax rate on the M&O side, maintenance and operation, and 49.5 cents on the INS rate. We're required to compress that $1.17. And I'm gonna read this, although it doesn't make sense, but it will in a minute. We take that dollar and knock it down. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I keep hitting the wrong button. We take that dollar and it's gonna go down to 93 cents. And then next year's 2015, we're not allowed to go up more than 2.5%. That's gonna be a hard pill for everyone, which means our values next year cannot increase by more than 2.5%. If we have 10% increase, we're not going to, we're not gonna be able to go above 2.5%. But we'll figure that out next year. So the actual rate is, the first, there's a percent, I'm gonna do that. This one's easier. Current law is $1.17. 6 pennies of that $1.17 are called golden pennies. The other 11 cents are called copper pennies. The designation between a gold or copper penny is how our state funding. We get more money for our golden pennies than we do our copper pennies. That's the only difference. But this coming year, instead of 6 golden pennies, we're allowed to have 8 golden pennies. Hence, we're gonna get more state funding. But our our copper pennies have to be compressed down to about 6. And here is the calculation. Currently, we're at $1.17. The compressed rate of the first dollar drops to 93 cents. The golden pennies, we get to keep all of our golden pennies, which are 8 cents. And then this 11 cents is reduced by 64%, which is based on this right here. That was the old allotment, new allotment, so that's how we have to reduce this. And it ends up being 64.83%. So our new tax rate is now $1.068365. M&O only, plus 50 cents on INS gives a total tax rate of $1.5683. I knocked off the 4th column and rounded down. Any questions? And this again is just showing what that rate is at the top, $1.0683.5 plus the 50 cents is $1.5683.
And audience, again, because it's a public hearing, if y'all have any questions, this is your time to also ask.
A comment, sorry.
Okay, so basically we'll not have a tax increase, that's.
We're taking 10 cents, a little more than 10 cents off the tax rate. We're going from $1.17 to $1.06835, 0683, excuse me.
Well, that's good. What about the .5 goals? And that's changed, so explain to me again.
It was 49.5 last year. We're allowed to go, the max is 50 cents.
Right, you know that.
But you're allowed in any year after you've sold your bonds, if something happens causing you to need to raise it above that, you can raise it as much as you want. Really, we need about 53 cents.
You can't go over.
We can't,
Oh, you can.
because the state funding isn't as much as it was anticipated. That money from the IRS that I talked about earlier, they call it sequestration. They knocked that down 90 to 93% rather than 100%. So all the money that we anticipated when we sold those bonds didn't really come to fruition. So we could increase that. However, I'm going on record, I feel confident that that we can refund some of these bonds and front that savings this year, and hopefully no longer have to take money from the M&O side like we've done in the past, 180 to 200,000 every year for the last 3 years. I'm hoping we don't have to do that. If we can refund these in a manner and put most of that savings in this year, because soon we're not gonna, we've got the increase in property values because of the 313 agreement that's coming soon, that's really gonna provide some relief in the INS side.
Comments, from the public? Thank you.
Every time I like to go to item number 6, President, do I have a motion? Moved by Mr. Lopez, do I have a second? Second by Ms. Garza. Any questions? None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous, any celebrations?
Trustees, right now for letter A and for letter B, we will have to reschedule those for the next board meeting. Because the first recognition of RISD employee, Coach Amanda Guerra, she's actually at a game right now. And then also our cheerleaders are cheering our teams on at a game. So we will look at rescheduling for the September 9th meeting at this point. So we'll go ahead and go into Proud You're a Picker. At this point, I'd like Kelsey to come on up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Moreno. It's our first Proud Year Picker celebration of the new school year, so this is a great, exciting kickoff for us. For those of you who are not sure about what the Proud Year Picker program is about, it's community members, colleagues, supervisors, administrators. They can nominate employees who work here with us at Robstown ISD for going above and beyond their call of duty. So essentially, it's an employee who shines out above all the rest and really is deserving of their recognition. So, as always, what I like to do is read you their nomination form so you can hear exactly some of the positive, great words that were shared about them. And our first one. She is an epitome of the word selfless. She models the true meaning of going the extra mile to make learning fun. She does not let the limits of funding stop her. She turns this hurdle into an accepted challenge and then takes those challenges and humbles herself for her students using Amazon, Facebook, and other social media outlets. When she speaks of the things she has received for her kids, you can see the size of her heart through her eyes. It is quite the sight to see and pretty amazing. Thank you, Miss Melinda Cortinas, for being all that you are for our children. She'll be here soon. Stand by. Our second one. She is constantly going the extra mile for not only our special education students, but all students on our campus. When she is met with a challenge, she takes it on full force. This year, she has stepped up without any directive to assist a substitute in maintaining the flow of the classroom. This is so crucial for our students with autism who oftentimes do not do well with change. She helped with setting up the classroom, creating extremely important visual schedules for our students with autism, and making sure all students make it to their required general education classrooms. Whatever or whenever I need something done for the students or classroom, I know I can count on her to get it done. She puts the needs of our students before her own and even came in during her summer break to help decorate the front entrance to our school so that our students would have an exciting and welcoming atmosphere when they returned. I am honored to have her in the special education department, and she is far beyond deserving of this recognition. Congratulations, Ms. Elvira Carrillo.
Surprise?
Good job, Billy. Her face, just, she had a camera.
That's been a while. There we go. Hold on, I'll read it.
Sorry about that.
Now, Elvira. We go to the back.
There you go.
You're sitting over the seat. You're sitting in over the seat. There you go. She's here.
Practice does make perfect, so I do want to practice one more time because I think that everyone deserves to hear this amazing story. She is the epitome of the word selfless. She models the true meaning of going the extra mile to make learning fun. She does not let the limit of funding stop her. She turns this hurdle into an accepted challenge. She takes those challenges and humbles herself for her students using Amazon, Facebook, and other social media outlets. When she speaks of the things she has received for her kids, you can see the size of her heart through her eyes. It is quite the sight to see and pretty amazing. Thank you, Ms. Cortines, for being all that you are for our children.
I wasn't late, y'all started early.
Thank you. And Ms. Carrillo, can you come up so we can take a group photo as well?
Okay, you say.
More balance.
Trustees, at this point, I'd like to have Mr. Lewis, Keith come on up, Lisa and Audie, and we'll have a brief presentation on updates from the food service department.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President, board members. That's great. Thank you for your time tonight. We wanted to just kind of give you a brief update. John Louis Keith, I'm the district manager for Charcoal. This is Lisa Mendoza, our director, and Audie Morris, our executive chef. So as you know, we took over July 1st, and I just wanted to kind of run through some brief items to kind of show you what we've accomplished so far. So one of the things we did when we first hit the ground running, we wanted to make sure as we went into the cafes that we were creating, like she said earlier, a welcoming atmosphere. So I wanted to kind of run just through some pictures with you here real quick. So I'm going to show you some kind of before pictures for the high school. And now some of the newer pictures that we've got on our signage now. So as you can see, it's brighter. We've got some coolers in there. We've got some real color on the back walls. We've got some different signages that really just help the identify where the kids want to go. And I think that is kind of streamlined. And we're actually seeing a participation increase in high school. Definitely some colors back there. And as you look at some of the additional other pictures that we've got in all the elementaries and in the junior high, now we look at some of the after pictures. We really wanted to create that barrier. So when you look at the pictures at the high school, they look like a mall. They look differently. When you look at some of the middle school pictures, the create sign up top, it's a little more, maybe not quite like that, but it's a little higher than the elementary schools. So we've got different signage for different grade levels. We love the welcome to the Bristol Cafe, welcome to San Pedro Cafe. It really kind of makes it identify with the kids that are in the school. One of the things we also worked on, so when you first come in, you first see the location, you see the atmosphere. But we also wanted to make sure that we worked on the serving lines. So we have, at our secondary schools, we have ambient bottled water at all the registers. Kids like to grab that during the course of the day. We have both regular and lemon flavored water. But we've also added a variety of snacks and different flavors across the board. Now, all these are Smart Snack compliant. So every snack that we sell is Smart Snack compliant, whether it be a whole grain Rice Krispie treat or a whole grain Pop-Tart, all these are Smart Snack compliant. We really worked on, with our staff, on colors, making sure that you're not just lining everything up in one, but you're making it look good. You're making, broccoli and carrots look fun, and the kids want to actually take the items. We do a lot of display plates to make sure the kids know that they can actually take more than just what's the entree. If a kid wants to come in, a student wants to come in and take 2 vegetables, 2 fruits, and an entree and a milk, more power to them. We're totally fine with that. We really make sure that we let our folks know they can take as much fruit and vegetables as they want. We're eventually going to get to the point where we're going to work with a table outside in the secondary locations that'll be loaded with vegetables and fruits. So if the kids get done with their meal and they want to come back out there, we're just working on getting the equipment right now, but they can take as much fruit and vegetables as they want. We'll never stop them for that. Again, just making sure, even just basic things like displaying pizza. Our pizza sales have gone up from 6 pies last year to almost 13, 14 pies a day, just because of the way we display it. It looks better if the kids want to take the pizza. One of the things too is by federal law, we have to have water available for the students in the cafeteria. But let's beef that up a little. Why can't we even make that fun? So all our hydration stations now are lemon water, cucumber water, orange water, and we've got a lot of variety that we want to make sure. It's great for the kids, anyone that comes in and wants to have some water. So our meal and a la carte options. So when we first came down here, we had a sales menu that we did. One of the things that we did is we met with the principals, we met with the teachers, we met with the students, and we talked with the staff. We really did. So after the first 3 weeks, we literally have already changed about 40% of our lunch menus to make sure that we coincide with what the kids like, with what the kids really want. Not that we want to fall back into just serving the basics every day. One of the things that Audie's going to be rolling out over the next couple months is to sample items that, we might have tried Asian chicken for the first time. Maybe it didn't go over too well. But let's get it into the kids' hands and let them taste it when it's free, and let's really try and push that. So again, we're working constantly on re-engineering our menus. One of the things that we've done too is, new this year, is that we're empowering our managers to make sure that they do not run out of a hot meal. Sometimes in school districts you might see they may estimate 250 portions of this and maybe 30 salads and 30 sun butter and jelly sandwiches, and the kids really like what the entree is today and they run out, and the kids that are left might have to go to the salad or the sandwich. So what we've done is we've ordered extra items so as the managers go through their day and they see that they may be running low. We've given them options to go ahead and get some chicken tenders or get some popcorn chicken out there or get some spaghetti meatballs, so everyone will have a hot meal because we do not want to run out. And then as we go through the production sheet, we'll make that change for next time it comes around to make sure that we produce more. Just kind of give you some total options that we do. We like to put these out to the kids so they really do get a chance to see what they can take. We don't want a child just to feel that he's taking a milk in the entree. We want them to take as much as they can, as many fruits and vegetables as they can. One of the things this year too is we went really hog wild on kind of throwing out as many snacks and beverages as possible for options. Now the diet sodas obviously are just sold in high schools, but in the high school part of it. But we want to make sure that we give them a variety. The lemon water right now is probably one of the most popular ones that we've added. The kids are really enjoying that. So what does this mean? So basically, just to give you a quick skinny on the first couple of weeks, we're looking at about a 2% enrollment growth. Breakfast has grown 1.2% over a year, so we've got work there to do. But our lunch is up 9.2% just for the first 2 weeks. So we're realizing that the kids are coming to us, they are eating lunch, but we want to continue to work on that. We want to continue to improve on that. Again, our first couple weeks, we've had some little hiccups here and there that we're working on production to make sure that we do it. I'll give you a perfect example on how we try and modify. We had a product one day that we cooked and we looked at it and we didn't realize that we had thought out enough or we had prepared enough. So what we did is we immediately converted and we took that day's menu and moved it to Wednesday, took Wednesday's menu and we served it on Monday. And the staff at one of our schools and our managers got together and they cooked it real quick and they were able to make sure that they had enough hot meal for the day. So we're empowering everyone to make those changes and really keep it up. Again, I can't thank Dr. Marino and Nina for as much support as we've got from the district staff team and you folks down here. It's been great, and I just really appreciate that, and I think it's starting to show in the numbers. I hope to, as we come here and report monthly or quarterly, whatever, just to make sure that we're fully transparent on everything that we do, good, bad, and ugly, and just make sure that we take responsibility for it and we own it. So, thank you. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy
I have
to take.
several.
Sure.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Now I have a question. Some of the pictures you showed on your slide, are those pictures of the food that we serve here, or are those images of what you all serve at Chartwell?
Every item is served here. Every picture.
Were those pictures taken here at one of our schools?
Yes, yes.
Okay. First of all, do you have, or do we have enough staff in the cafeterias to be able to assist with the day-to-day operations? And I ask this because I know there's a school in particular that had a teacher helping, assisting for breakfast one day because there was not enough staff members. So a teacher stepped in to assist to get these burritos out.
Correct. So we are working to fill staff. We did have several openings. We've got some that are coming in. We should be hopefully fully staffed within the next couple of weeks, but we have hired probably how many over the last 2 weeks?
About 6.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. It's a very fair point. We showed up during the summer with the most staffing need that child nutrition here at Robstown has had in over a decade. So we were working tirelessly to get fully staffed up.
And so we are moving towards that, and there are certain times, sometimes that she did get behind that day, but we make sure that we pull staff from other locations to make sure that happens. And once we knew about it, we had staff over there and helped to assist her.
We have a teacher over there.
Right, for that one breakfast
They
morning.
were assisting one employee make breakfast burritos. And those breakfast burritos, first of all, were cold, because I had several complaints about the burritos being cold, not only from students, but from parents. They had, I don't think I heard one good thing about the breakfast burritos, not one. And it's sad when we have to pull somebody from our teaching staff to go in and assist you all serve breakfast. When you all took on this job at the beginning, one of the questions I asked was, can you all take this job on and be successful? And it wasn't yourself, it was another gentleman that was with us, and they said, absolutely. Some of the excuses I've received is, we're new. We're new to Robstown ISD, and I understand that, but you're not new to the food service industry.
No, that's correct.
And when we're serving cold burritos to students and they're not getting enough, we don't have enough for them, so we're having to substitute it for something else, then I have an issue with that. When we're serving our students pancakes with sausage for lunch, that is not something our children are accustomed to. And we discussed that prior to this when we made our decision to bring Chartwell in. Demographically, our students don't eat pancakes, or most of our students don't eat pancakes for lunch. Do you honestly think that was a good meal to serve for our students, pancakes with sausage?
That has been a popular item in a lot of the districts we serve.
With ours.
Totally understand. And what happened, the minute we served that and we got that feedback, that was taken off the menu. The burritos were taken off that menu at that location. So, for example, probably Comal ISD, not too far up in San Antonio, that's one of the most popular lunches that they have is that breakfast with the bacon.
Again, demographically speaking, it might work in Comal County, but it doesn't work here in Robstown.
Exactly. But we took that feedback right away, sir, and we made that change, and we took that right off the menu. We did not wait to have it another cycle. The minute we found out those 2 items didn't work, we took those off the menu right away. And that's one of the things that we're learning as we go through this process, and we're understanding what doesn't work. We're very adaptable, and we are gonna make those changes and make it right.
Do you get student feedback, like, is that regularly that
Yeah.
you're reaching out?
Yeah,
to the kids?
absolutely. We do table touches. I personally myself walk through the high school and talk to students. One of the students brought up a great idea on he liked the pasta bar that we had there year before, and I think that was relatively easy to do. We've implemented that back. We have no problem being adjusted or being able to adapt like that and talk to the students. But we also talk not only just with the students, the principals, the teachers, but also the staff themselves, because they're the ones on the front line and they give us feedback. But as soon as we found out that breakfast and the pancake for breakfast for lunch didn't work, not a problem. We're not gonna wait and let that fail again. We're gonna make sure that that's off the menu. One of the things that we're gonna introduce at the high school coming up here in the next 30 days is student choice. And so what we've got some, a bevy of probably 14 different concepts that that will come out and we'll sample. We'll take 1 or 2 of them, we'll sample them, and the kids will vote on it. they'll taste it, they'll sample it, they'll vote on it, and we'll convert one of our stations to that for 30 days. And then we may try a couple other different kinds. Barbecue, bok choy, there's roast, which is the chicken type thing. So we've got these different concepts that we can come in and try and let the kids vote on. But when we find out that those two didn't work, we immediately took it off. If that wasn't able to be produced properly in the proper temperature and the proper flavor that we need, done, take it off. Pancakes with for lunch, didn't work here, take it off. You'll never see that again on our menu.
I have a question with regards to the short staff that you're talking about, that Hector talked about. Did we not retain our staff that was there the year last year?
We retained as many of the staff that came back. That's who we had when we first started.
Okay, so we're still short staffed, is that what you're saying?
We're still short of a few people.
Employees are quitting.
We have employees that are quitting.
Okay.
We've got several, and all the reasoning behind it is because of charcoal, and that's what they're telling us. One employee said it's unorganized and chaotic. One person said they're not going to work in a cafeteria where we're running out of one item and we're trying to scramble with one or two employees trying to get another item out, because there's not enough food to serve our elementary schools.
We have plenty of food to serve the elementary schools.
Beg your pardon?
I said, we've had plenty of food to serve the elementary schools. I mean, our menus every day, we're completely serving our menus that we publish, and we put out there every day.
Even at dinner time? So if you run out of one item, let's say pizza, and then you didn't make enough because there was not enough help, and what you need to do next is come in and make chicken nuggets really quick to feed them. That's not running out of the main meal that we were serving to try to substitute it with something else.
When we plan our menu, we plan on X amount of servings of the pizza. If the kids go through that more than what we plan, we make notes to make sure that we correct that down the future. But we want to make sure that we continue to serve a hot meal. So there are some times that we have to be flexible and make sure that the child gets a hot meal.
Now, going back to the employees, why is it that, do you know why it is that we've had employees quit since you all come on board?
My understanding is that we've had two of our managers quit. One was
That's too many.
But one was from health reason, personal reason. It has nothing to do with Charwell. She's got personal issues and health issues, and she could no longer stand and continue to do her job. And then the other one was just not used to the new systems, and she just felt it was just not for her.
So in all fairness, actually, in regard to that, so one manager, her last day was right before we were gonna open. She had already planned to move to San Antonio. So right before we had already lost her. So in all fairness, I believe that's nothing to do with Chartwell's. And as you mentioned, the second manager that we did lose, which was at Lafayette, that was for personal reasons, to our knowledge. In regard to the food service employee, at this point, I believe that's our only one that we have actually lost. We, yes, one too many, but since then, yes, we're continuing to hire and look for candidates. As a matter of fact, we're down two managers right now, actually possibly one. We're looking to extend an offer and support and also increase our and grow from within, if you will. And then we are short just another two assistant managers now.
We also had a food service employee that worked with our district for many years that came back recently.
Yes.
And it just lasted one day.
Yes.
And she left there and said she would never return because it was so chaotic. She said she had never seen food service in our school district so chaotic. Unorganized was the word she used.
Did she give a specific reason? What was bothering her about it, or?
I could sit here all night and go over many things that she went over. I don't understand what's so chaotic about what you all are doing, that we're not able to accommodate even our employees, and we're losing veteran employees that work with our school district for so many years. And suddenly you all come in and it's a problem.
One point I'll add to that, as far as trying to reach out to other employees, do you go out and post this openings somewhere else? Like, so it doesn't, you don't necessarily have to hire people from Robstown here. You can hire from Corpus, from any surrounding city, and accommodate the needs of Robstown. Is that, can you done?
Yeah, that's.
Yes. Okay, those positions are posted on the Education Service Center website, just like all the other positions. So other neighboring, anyone who applies to any of the neighboring districts can apply to our district. Because it's kind of the same way that any other position or any other vacancy is. So the positions are not posted only on our website. They're posted on ours, and that automatically takes them. If we have someone from the community that
goes to our website and they click it. But if you're from Corpus, from any surrounding area, you can go to the Education Service Center website and access all the applications to all positions. So it's open to anyone in the state of Texas that goes to the service center.
So your staff, when they have issues, do they come to you guys, or do they come to the?
No, they'll come to us. Although we're two different companies, that we want everyone to come through us, and if we need the help of the
Did
district.
they approach you guys,
Well, have you gotten
the
complaints?
staff that are?
Have you received complaints?
Yeah, and we've been in communication, so.
So they're Robson employees, so.
Yes,
Yes,
correct.
yes, they're the only three that are employed by Charles, correct?
Correct.
And just on the staffing, by the way, every single application we've received from HR, we have taken that interview. And so we are working every single day. We had 2 interviews yesterday. We are waiting on, I believe, 3 approvals for staffing. We hope to get them tomorrow, tomorrow. And there will be additional staffing in the high need areas like Lodge.
And I know, like, every time I'm in town, every week, these managers are out there and they're with the employees every day. And it is confusing to folks that are switching over from organizations and trying and with the first week of school and going through everything. We're there for them. We're there every day for them, and I believe that it's improving daily. You can go out and talk to the employees that we have out in a lot of our schools, and they will say that it's improving. They are seeing that we're out there, we're talking to them every day, we're bringing new stuff, they're proud of what they're serving. And again, there's gonna be times that we're not gonna put anything on the responsibility of the employees. It's our responsibility at the end of the day. We own the ship. And so we wanna make sure that we're out there with them every single day. We talk with them all the time. Again, I see every employee, every trip, and if there's issues, we wanna make sure that they're bringing it up to us so we can cut down on any confusion, and we don't want it to be chaotic.
Yeah, and you can see, Mr. Keith, again, there is gonna be a very high standard in what we want for our employees and especially our children as far as the meals and as we continue to move forward. I will say, trustees, that, as an organization, they have been very open to feedback. So that we do, we've had several conversations, just to address things, and I don't feel that there is resistance, but there is very high expectations, again, as an organization, that we wanna make sure we get the best for our kids, so. I think that ongoing communication is gonna be critical.
And on that note, sir, I mean, I continue to, speaking with the principals and trying to get their feedback of what the teachers have been able to get back. And with those notes is how we're able to either make changes to menus and things like that, what worked with Debbie's work and constantly, making those changes, again.
There is one thing, and I'll just say as an organization, I know that one thing that really stood out to me as far as the board of trustees when they hired you as a company is student feedback was a huge piece that they were looking for. So that is gonna be a critical piece to continue building off of, and of course, at that point, it's also our staff. But I know that that's something we'll continue launching, and I know it's a system, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't think we're always gonna be 100% on the mark in what the kids totally like daily. I don't think there's any parent at home that can say that their kids will eat what they cook for them. They prefer the fast food meals all the time. So, I think the best thing is that we stay positive and try to make sure that through your service, the kids' needs are being met, and maybe
Absolutely.
just having ways to engage them and giving their opinion, and that opinion being kind of noticed and recognized, and maybe the changes, like you said, are coming forward. So we appreciate you staying on top of that.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought you had some goodies.
Thank you.
The next item on informational item at this point, I'd like to bring up our representatives. I know Dr. White is not here, but we have Ruben Sines and Arnold Cantu, and they'd like to brief us on the education, the Robb County School District Education Foundation report.
Good evening, Dr. Moreno, Mr. Lopez, board trustees, teachers, administrators, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arnold Cantu, and with me tonight is Ruben Sines. We're here to represent the Robb County Independent School District Education Foundation. Ruben is the VP for events, and I am the marketing VP guy. And our mission, I guess you could say, or goal tonight is to bring you information on a very important upcoming event. Without events, this organization could not exist. Because as you see, when we wrap it all up, you know, this is critical to our being able to provide funds for teachers' mini grants. And before you, you should have a flyer like this. And basically, it's maybe 4 or 5 weeks down the road when this event is going to be held, of course, here in Robstown. It is called the Red and White Day of Giving. Couple of our board trustees came up with the idea. Other school districts have done this event, and they've been very, very successful in raising funds for their community. We plan to, do as well as they did, and maybe even exceed, what some of the other districts have done. I'm just going to quickly cover the W's, the where, what, when, what, and then Ruben here will kind of fill in on basically, what the funds in the past have done and what we've achieved, so far in such a short period of time, really. It's just been a few years that I remember I was here before you board members, Dr. Moreno was not here yet, but I came before you asking for a grant, and I'd like to say that we have paid back that grant, probably double, triple, quadruple of what this board approved us to have to create this education foundation. And for that I am very thankful, and I'm sure a lot of the teachers are thankful, and it's because of you all that this was allowed to happen. Again, the Day of Giving is going to be on a Friday, October the 18th. It's going to be a 24-hour thing. It's not going to be 1 hour or 2 hours or even a few hours. It's going to be 24 hours. And when we say 24 hours, we mean 24 hours. We're going to be on the clock, okay? There's going to be a lot of things going on, but I'm just giving you some heads up as to you're going to be seeing flyers, posters, things on Facebook, the mass media. I mean, any way we could think of to communicate to the community that basically we need everybody's support for this event to be successful. And of course, we're asking for your support in this event. As your flyer says, the purpose of this event is for the community-wide giving challenge. Of course, is to increase public awareness of the impact of our nonprofit organization that it makes in this community. We want to put ourselves out there so that the public knows who we are and what we're doing and what it is we're trying to achieve. Yeah. If anybody has any questions as we go along, I'll be more than glad to answer it. Any questions so far? I'm sure I'll hear some sooner or later. And I know Lori's got a couple of them already.
Okay, so on this day, if I want to donate, because it's the day of giving, what do I gotta do? Do I gotta go find somebody from the education? There's a website. Okay,
There is a website. We will have a website. As more details come out on this event, I mean, I could be up here for quite a long time explaining you all the details, but I don't want to bore you with all the minor details. But there will be plenty of opportunities that you can donate, either through students, administrators, teachers, principals. They are all going to be very involved in this.
And that's what I'm talking, so anybody can take money? Anyone can take money as a donation?
Yeah, we have a committee that's going to be.
Okay.
Yes.
and it'll be organized at the campus level to where it can impact by classroom and which look at its participation. That way, one classroom just doesn't do a little bit more than others, it's about participating. That's how you tie it in and then tie it to the teachers.
Now, what about our community? So we're going out to the community as well, right? So if I'm gonna call my parents and say, give me money.
Oh, yes, I mean, absolutely.
Because they don't have they don't do the website. So what I told them, is there gonna be someone out in the community, drivers?
Berta, can you answer that?
I'm trying to picture what's going on that day, so what I'm hoping, I hope I said that you write cards and come home. Bring in money.
We got the idea from a previous school, and what they were doing is, it's a competitive thing for that day. What we'll have is when our kids get dropped off, we'll hand out the flyer at that time, and they can donate as well if they want to. The easiest way to do it would be to go online. Of course, if Robstown doesn't have, there's people, our community may not have a website to go to, they can give it to their child. There's gonna be an envelope that's gonna be sent out to the parent, and the envelope's gonna come back with a check, in the form of a check or cash. So that's one way of giving, and there's other ways of giving that we wanted to, if your mother or dad wanted to donate, they can go to the school. We're gonna have a money box there, they can donate it.
So how are the people who do not have kids in our district being reached?
It's going to be,
Social media.
Social media, a lot of it's gonna be social media.
Our students, we're gonna try to put it out on the radio as well.
And I understand that a lot of older parents, older people, are deathly scared of, computers and Facebook and email, but see, that's where you come in, you just call them up on the phone, right?
I'm too busy, sir.
Yeah, the goal is also to reach out to alumni and get the alumni to pass the word.
Right, that's what I mean, this is big.
Yes.
This is very big.
And like I said, we've got some upcoming
They were very
events.
successful at the other district and we got the idea from. Their goal was a certain amount and they exceeded it.
Their goal was 10,000, and they exceeded to 25,000.
Are we including the city?
Yes.
Yes.
No, not yet.
Not yet, but we're going.
We're gonna include the community.
Just to give you a very, very brief idea of some of the work we've done and especially where some of the funds go, I guess, and how we go about raising these funds and what they're used for. I'm gonna introduce the mic over to Ruben.
We would like to thank you again and reiterate what Arnold just said. About 2 years ago, we came before the board, and we really want to thank you for the courageous steps that this board took. Not only because it was a recognized board throughout the state of Texas, but you all have brilliant minds that allowed us to take this leap of faith. Because I'm just so thankful, and I know I'm speaking not only on behalf of our board members that are on our board, but also Arnold is the president of the Alumni Association that has been existing out there in the community for a while. And seeing this discussion of tax rates, these are the taxpayers that elect you to make those big decisions, and one of them was to create a foundation. And it's exciting to see the report and the update on the food service, because this school district, this independent board here, not only taxes us, but I think that the community has done a great service to participate and support the school district by paying their taxes. But as we told you 2 years ago, we asked for permission and you guys voted to allow this foundation to come about. And today we can tell you the first year, part of my job as a vice president of development is to work with the marketing and the development committee to get the community involved. The first year we existed, we looked for donors, and a lot of you may or may not remember that we had a program a while back, and there's plenty of these booklets, and I believe they're back here on the stand. And it was our job to find somebody and convince them that this board could help support our teachers and our school district. On the back of this flyer, which was one of the ads that we sold, this went for $10,000, folks. That's a big check to write for anybody. We also found a private citizen who has a business who also donated $10,000. And we were told that Robstown citizens would not be willing to give money to support it. The mission of this foundation is strictly to help the teachers. We had two $10,000 donors a year ago, and we raised over $52,000. You can go to the website on the RISD website, and you will see that in this program, we have community members who own businesses here in Robstown. They bought ads, they spent their money, we had a luncheon, and this board is very grateful for the leap of faith that you guys took. And we're only trying to pay it forward so that the teachers can continue to do the wonderful job that they're doing for our students. Not only that, Robstown is no longer the old RHS as we used to call it, but we also have a early college high school. And let me tell you folks, as a business person, that is a great economic development here. I have a nephew that graduated from Del Mar College and 3 days later went to get a high school diploma. Folks, that's over $30,000 of value for a family that does not have to do that. Every year around October, in my household, we get about 6 requests for donations from our alma maters throughout the state of Texas and my kiddos that they went out of state. And I always seem to write a check for that. So it was incumbent upon me that said that how can I go ask anybody for money if I'm not willing to give money myself? And this year, last year really, we gave out mini grants, and some of those are documented on the cover of this booklet, as you all can see. We gave out checks to the teachers for writing mini grants, and that was our obligation to help the teachers. This year, at our last board meeting, right here in this facility, we found out that we're gonna have enough money to probably give a little over $30,000 to our teachers again. This year, we took another step forward and we gave all the new incoming teachers, a check for $100. And I believe that we did that in the convocation, the first day of work. And I believe there were 15 teachers, if somebody can correct me on that, but I believe we gave 15 checks to 15 teachers. Next year, not only do we want to give the mini grants again, we want to do the same for the new teachers, but I think that we have found also a donor and a person that is willing to finance and pay for a breakfast for the convocation day. And we're trying to go forward and reward our teachers because those are the ones that educate our kids. A few years ago, I saw a bumper sticker on a car that said, if you can read this bumper sticker, thank a teacher. And let me tell you, our business people got involved, our citizens got involved, and this year we want to take it community-wide, and that is the purpose of this particular flyer, to help us involve the community and the students can know what's going on. We think it's going to be competitive. I think we're going to be able to raise enough money to keep going this foundation, at the pleasure of this board who gave us the opportunity to start it. And we're kind of the old fogies, man. We're the graduates from the 60s, the 70s, and we're trying to pay it forward. And we want to thank you again for the opportunity and involve the community going forward. And I thank Cardinal being here with me, and we thank you for that great offering of being a foundation to support our teachers and this district. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. At this point, I'd like to continue with the report on STAR accountability test results, as well as distinctions. Lorena? And trustees, the previous board meeting, we gave you a package just as, so you could have the initial, so she'll go to a more formalized presentation on this. But this is our official.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Moreno, I am pleased to stand here before you to share with you our final accountability ratings that were released by the Texas Education Agency on August 15th. Right? So first of all, I included this specific slide before I go into the accountability ratings for the campuses because I wanted to share with you one of the big changes from last year's accountability system to this year is that campuses have received letter grades. Where last year, they either received a label of met standard or improvement required. The accountability system has moved toward letter grades for both district and campuses, right? Okay, and then of course, for you to see the Texas Education's interpretation of those letter grades. Okay, we'll start with San Pedro Elementary. San Pedro Elementary, of course, our accountability system is based on 3 domains, 4 areas. And so the domain 1 is the student achievement. At San Pedro Elementary, they had an overall score of 70 for that domain, and that's a C. School progress, that is how well students do from one year to the next. The elementary campuses, the K through 3rd grade campuses, are not rated for the academic growth, but they do receive a letter grade for their relative performance. So relative performance is basically saying, they take into consideration our eco-dis percentage, and then they give us a grade based on our domain 1, and it's, for San Pedro it's a 77, they have a C. Closing the gaps domain, that's domain 3, that's our federal accountability. They take all our students and then based on their demographics, they put them in groups and they see how they do in the STAR. And so for the closing the gaps, once again, that is our federal accountability. At San Pedro Elementary, they had 47, that's below the 60, so that's an F for that particular domain. I did calculate that domain again. If one more student group would have made it, it would have been a 61. And that would have given them a total score of a 70. But as we currently have those grades, San Pedro is a 68, and that's an overall rating of a D. The other table there gives you a picture of the change over time from last year. Once again, you see that in 2017 and 2018, that school was improvement required. They were at a 58. This year, they're at a 68, so that's a decrease. So there was progress in that case.
So trustees, and again, because all the charts are gonna look similar as far as the format, but I want to say is, again, that's nowhere where we want to be, and that's not where we're going to continue to be. The thing is that you look for improvement. So they were an F last year, that's where you see the 68 to the B. And again, F, so they showed that, and again, 2 points off from you becoming a C. So the strategy behind it is knowing, well, how do I get to a C? So just this past week, actually Wednesday, we went through a full day training, we got one more day. That way they strategically are figuring it out, because they gotta know the game. What I mean by the game is, what's the formula, what is my next step? Because our main priority is knowing every student by name and need. That's our motto, that's our belief, that's what we do. And from there we start to evolve, but we definitely, where I presented to you at another point, we said we saw a lot of improvement on meets. That's because it's very intentional. We knew those kids by name and need. So that's where you start to see the shift here.
Lots Beach Elementary. So at Lots Beach Elementary, their domain 1, the student achievement was a 75. That's a C. And then of course, their school progress, relative performance, that's scaled at an 84, that's a D. Closing the gaps, they were at 61, a D for an overall campus score of 77, and they are a C campus. So the change over time for Lots Beach, remember, if y'all recall last year, they were a 59, it was an improvement required campus. We went ahead and appealed that rating to TEA, and so the rating was changed from improvement required to Met Standard. However, the overall score did not change. And so this year, they're at 77. And so that's a C campus with good progress. Aside from having that progress, Lots Beach Elementary received 3 distinctions. And they earned the academic achievement in English language arts, academic achievement in math, and the post-secondary readiness distinction. And Ms. Lopez has some of her staff members here, and so shout out to those Robert Driscoll Elementary, their student achievement, domain 1, it's at a 72, a C. Their relative performance came in at an 80, that's a D. Closing the gaps is at a 71C for an overall campus score of a C. So the change over time at Robert Driscoll, they went from an 88 to a 77 for the C campus this year. They did earn a distinction. They earned the post-secondary readiness distinction. Ortiz Intermediate, their student achievement domain came in at 69, that's a D. At Ortiz Intermediate, they do have the academic growth measure, and so they came in at 67, a D. School progress, relative performance, they came in at 75. And then closing the gaps at 74 for an overall campus score of 75. So Ortiz, although they remained, in the 70s, they did go up from the 70 to 75. That's a change. Seal Junior High, their student achievement, their domain 1 came in at 62, a D. Their academic growth came in at 57, so that's an F. And then the school progress, the relative performance came in at a 70, a C, and closing the gaps was at a 61, a D, for an overall campus score of a D. The change over time for that campus, they went from a 68 to a 67, so they remained a D. Robstown Early College High School, their accountability system for the high school, their secondary schools, is a little different. They do have the student achievement domain 1, but that also includes their college and career and military readiness points, and also the graduation rate. So domain 1 for the high school was at an 80, that's a B. Their academic growth was at a 78, a C, and their relative performance was at 84, a B. And the closing the gaps was at 79, a C, for an overall campus score at an 83, a B. And their change over time was from a 75 to an 83, and so congratulations. In addition to that, they did earn a distinction, and they got the top 25 compared to closing the gaps distinction. That's really
And a couple of those domains, they were only, I think, 1 or 2 points off. So it's definitely headed in the right direction. We're very proud of our high school and the way it's moving. But it does take everyone working together, and all of our schools. All the really, our teachers are the ones going to make it happen, regardless of the classroom. Our teachers are, that's our pride and joy in who we bring and who we're able to continue to keep. And of course, with the guidance of our administration and team as a whole, we all work together and make sure it happens. But again, our kudos to the high school, and it's definitely helping us to brand our school district in the right way. So thank you very much for your hard work.
I did want to go back and just kind of mention the CCMR points, just so y'all know that your investment in the early college, high school, and our certification programs do pay off. Those points come from students that are graduating with ODLT dual credit classes, students that are earning industry-based certifications, and so all our your investment in the students as far as post-secondary readiness does pay off with CCMR points. Crossroads Academy, their domain 1, of course, that's also a secondary campus, and they do have CCMR points and a graduation rate. Now, at that campus last year, because it was a new campus, they didn't really have a graduation rate, so they had to calculate that particular domain based on the dropout rate. This year, it's been in existence already long enough for them to have a graduation rate, and so that was a good thing. So their domain 1, they ended up at a 75, that's a C. They do not get rated in school progress for academic growth or relative performance, but they do have closing the gaps, and they came in at a 30, that's an F. And so this year, the accountability, the state awards alternative campuses bonus points for a percentage of students who are graduating under the recommended high school plan and the distinguished level of achievement plans. And so Crossroads had graduated, 90% of their students had graduated on those plans, so they earned a total of 5 points out of 5 points for that particular indicator. There was another indicator or opportunity to gain bonus points, but we did not have the percent high enough to earn those points. So as it stands, Crossroads came in at a 67, and the improvement over time was from a 53 to a 67. Crossroads came in at and our district. Overall, the district for domain 1, again, our accountability system is very similar to the high school, CCMR and graduation rate. And so, our domain 1 came in at a 75, that's a C. Our school progress was at a 59, that's an F. The school relative performance came in at an 85, that's a B. And closing the gaps is a 77, that's a C. For an overall district score of an 83, so the district came in at a B, from a C to a B. I do want to say that that 59 is a hard pill to swallow when you see it there. But I do want to say that that domain is, domain 2 has those two parts, and what the state does is they look at the best of the two, and then they rate that domain that way. So out of those two, if you have a 59 and an 85, really that domain is rated for the district at an 85, because that's the best out of the two. Okay? But it's listed, so I wanted to list it, because it's there. I mean, this information is public now. It's on the TA website. If you go into the TA website under the accountability section, and you pull up our district scores, I mean, it's gonna be there. Okay, so I wanted to bring it to you because there's, we're transparent. We are, I wanted to say that.
And I do want to say just one more time, and the progress that we see, again, teachers, thank you so much for everything you do for our children. I mean, it's just, it's amazing to see when we all get focused and in one direction, speak a common language, take the same steps together, and great things happen for our kids. And so little by little, we'll continue to see that movement forward. So thank you again, teachers, and then of course, all of our support staff, and then again, all of our administration, everybody just going above and beyond. But the beauty I think about Robstown ISD, it's a pretty amazing culture. And when it comes down to it, we have a common focus, and then we roll up our sleeves and we get it done. So thank you, trustees, for all your support in this direction. We'll continue to see moving forward. Thank you.
I'm not done. Okay, so I wanted to share this particular slide with you guys because we've seen it over the last few years. And so it gives us a look at the state of the district, and we look back. So in the old accountability system, like if we were to be Med Standard or Improvement Required, we would have 2018, 2019 all green, right? But now with the new accountability system, and of course, we don't have any campuses that are under unacceptable performance. Now, moving forward with this new ratings, now we're gonna continue this chart, but it'll be just white because it's a little gray. It's like your student's report card, and if you all have, children at school, and you get a report card, an A's an A, a B's a B, a D's a D. Although my son would argue that a D's passing in college. Okay, so based on our letter grades, there are some the state accountability labels that come with those letter grades, and there's also federal accountability labels that come with the performance of our student groups. And so Robstown ISD in the state accountability is a recognized performance. And then Robstown Early College High School in the state accountability is a recognized performance. Under the federal accountability, there are additional targeted support. And what that means is there is a student group that's that we need to look out for. Okay, so their performance is not at the federal accountability ability level. But I do have to say that the federal accountability, their standard is at the meets grade level. They do not recognize the approaches grade level, which is passing in the state, is not passing in the federal accountability standards. So the standard for the federal accountability is higher than our state. And so Crossroads is in need of improvement, it is a D. And then they're comprehensively identified for the federal accountability. SEAL is in need of improvement, that was a D, and they are targeted support. They also have a specific student group that needs to be looked at. Ortiz Intermediate is acceptable performance, they're a C, and they also have a targeted support on the federal accountability. Driscoll Elementary is acceptable performance, and they're good with the federal accountability. Lot Speech is acceptable performance in their comprehensive progress, which means the student group that was, that they no longer fell under the 5% performance for the federal accountability. However, they are monitored one more year before that label comes off. San Pedro is in need of improvement. They are a D, and they are comprehensively identified. So, What these labels do is they give us specific interventions that our campuses need to go through, and like I told, when we met with the principals, is that the worst thing that can happen to us? No. I think that, having those specific interventions for our district keeps us focused and on our way to bettering what we've done so far. Okay. Again, this information is public. It's on the TA website, and there's a website called texasschools.gov, and it gives you all this information as well. Now, I didn't make you copies of the presentation, but I will share with Dr. Moreno and we can email it to you. Is that okay? Any questions? We're good?
Good.
Thank you.
All right.
It was a good year.
Okay, the next item is a student enrollment update. Jenna?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. We'd like to share with you this evening is our first day enrollment and share with you where we're at with enrollment in our district. But we're looking back on 2017 and 2018, and I went ahead and printed the PowerPoint for y'all. In 17, 18, I can't see from here, should have brought my copy. 2,881, thank you. And then, last school year, we're at 2,480. And this is on the very first day of school, okay? So we're just comparing first day of school to first day of school this year. And this particular, first day of school, August 12th, we have 2,578. So you can see that on the first day of school, in comparison to last year, to 18-19, there was an increase from 2,480 to 2,578. And then we took the same information and we actually gave you the actual enrollment by campus. And we did that for the 3 years, for 17-18, 18-19, and 19-20. And this particular graph, you can see the enrollment at each individual campus. So at the high school for this first day of August 12th, we were at 625. At Crossroads Academy at 28. At Seal Junior High, 585. At Ortiz, 370. San Pedro, 181. Lots Beach, 290. And Driscoll Elementary, 499. So side by side, you can see the enrollment from 17-18 to this school year. On the next slide, we just summarize the enrollment. From 17-18, the actual enrollment was 2,621. And then in 18-19, 2,480. And then in this school year, 2,578. So we went ahead and did the +6, the -141, which was huge last year at this time. And then for this particular year, on day one, we were at a +98. So you're probably wondering, where are we now, right? So what we did here on this particular graph, we took the first day of August 12th, and we looked at yesterday, because we ran the PowerPoint before, and yesterday we were at 2,754. So in comparison, from the first day of school, we had an increase of 176 students, from day one to yesterday, okay?
That's a question.
And part of the trustees that you're seeing that big of a jump is also because you gotta look at it the recovery. We're recovering, because last year's, I don't know what the anomaly, we lost, I don't know if it was 150 or so, because that's what it went, the average 2,600 to 2,400.
And then we're gonna have a peak, and then we go back down again, so it's really hard, we've gotta keep monitoring the attendance, right? So here you see, okay, yesterday we were up 2,754, so from day one, we increased it to 176. But now what we've done on the next one, we actually took the enrollment from last year on the identical day of August 28th. So where were we last year on August 28th? We were 2726 in comparison to this year, yesterday, which was 2754. So if you look at last year and this year on the same day, it was only a plus 28. Okay, so there was, and I'll share with Dr. Moreno, some of the neighboring districts don't start as early as we do. Some students, they don't show up on the first day of school. CCISD just started school. Some parents wait for whatever reason to enroll students. Other students are coming from, out of town. We've had several students from nearby districts who have moved into the area, and there are students now. But this is very telling also because, the prior slide is like, oh my goodness, it's 178, right? From the very first day of school. But if we compare to last year on the same identical day, it's only 28 students. So we really still have our work cut out to meet our attendance goal, which we've set out at 95% to reach that within 3 years. And that information was shared again today with the principals and all the attendance clerks that we have at the different campuses. Were brought in this afternoon for a meeting to review the attendance procedure handbook that has now been put into place. Mr. Gonzalez has worked in the back, worked really hard with Dr. Ceballos, myself. We worked together and taken a look at the attendance procedure manual, and we wrote that out with steps, etc. Our goal is to increase attendance to 95% within 3 years. So hopefully we're on our way, but we wanted to share with you enrollment so that you could get an idea as to where we're at with the number of students.
Would that be at 95%?
Pardon?
What number would that be at 95%?
The actual number of students, I can't tell you that.
But that's on a grade year.
Yeah. We're wanting to reach 95%.
Right.
But it would
What's
be
the average
great.
now?
What would that be?
We came in at 90, let me see, 90, district-wide? 91.
91. So add another 4% to that.
So what we're trying to do is set some measurable goals that are attainable, and we set it at 95% to be reached within the 3 years.
So this year will be 93, then 94, and then we'll get to 95 on the third year. But that way we have the magic, what we call the magic number at each one.
And then, Dr. Ceballos shared with me today, another piece of information, trying to work on actually how many students will it take at every single campus to get to that number. And the figures that we were looking at today was, okay, we cannot have, no more than X number of students absent at each campus in order to reach the goal, okay? So you have to break it down that specific, otherwise we're just shooting from the hip without knowing exactly the number of students that we need present or the number of students that we cannot afford to have out at every campus.
As an example, trustees, and this isn't a hard number, but let's pretend that Driscoll, their magic number can't exceed 16 kids a day. If not, they won't meet their target. Launch Beach, they may be that their school is at 12 kids. And the thing is that they know, and everybody knows they cannot exceed that, if not, I'm gonna get off track.
Because then we add them all together, then we can have the 95% at the district level.
Do the campuses create some kind of incentives?
Oh, yes.
With the students?
Oh, yes.
That'll measure where they're at, so they also know where they're at?
Different campuses have different ways to share that information with their students and staff. Some have thermometers, some announce their daily attendance. They have awards at the different campuses by the door, saying this was the classroom with the highest attendance for the day. They get very creative and have different incentives and strategies in their campus. Thank you.
Nina, Mrs. and the financial statement report.
first column, at 11 months now, we should be at or below 91.37%. Page 24. Sorry, we should be at 91.67% at 9 months. Revenue is just a little beyond under that at 91.37. Our expenses are at 81.90. I highlighted function 33, really close, and I'll tell you why that's important in a minute. Function 36 is very close. 51 and 71. The reason I'm highlighting that is you'll see in a minute with the budget amendments, I'm adding money to those, just so if the auditors come and they decide to change something that we coded 51 and they want it in 31, that we'll have sufficient money in all functions, because when the audit's done, we can't have any function overspent. So page 25, we have collected $1.8 million more than we did at the same time last year, but our expenses are about 2.3 million more than they were last year. But still, we're running real good with, and don't anticipate taking a lot of money out of fund balance. And then page 26, we are 102% above on our collections above our budget. So we've collected in our property tax more than what we originally budgeted. Unfortunately, when we collect more in property taxes, guess what happens? The state take it away. But anyway, any questions?
All right, trustees, then I'll move on to letter G, update on external auditor's engagement letter. So this one, I'm just bringing as information only. There was a 2-year commitment by the board on this commitment with our auditor, but what was missing on one of the pages, it said that it was up to 18, although we have in the minutes that it was up to 19. So I just wanted to make sure that I informed you before they began the audit. So at this point, I'll have Mr. Lopez again re-sign it just for that change. But the agreement didn't change. It's just that it was missing that 19. So that's all. I just want to make sure that y'all know before we continue this year's audit. And I just wanted to reiterate, I sent y'all all a text a few days ago on the RISD roofing update, but this was all, again, something that just kind of fell on our lap, I would say, about a few days prior to getting out for summer break. There was a grant that was made available by the state for any school districts that had any type of damage from the hurricane. And so we were able to apply for the grant. And the great thing about it is that grant, we were funded. So at this point, we're receiving $500,000 that goes back into our fund balance. Because remember, right now we're making a lot of roof repairs from the hurricane damage. From that, the board committed to go ahead using money from our fund balance to take care of that. And the hope so that FEMA is going to come, because FEMA, we still don't have a final response. But at this point, it's a win-win for the school district. Why? If FEMA doesn't come through, we have the 500. If FEMA does come through, then what we have to do is give that 500 back to the state. But again, at this point, it's a win-win for our school district. All right. Thank you.
But the repairs continue, right?
They continue right now. They're still Leroy. They're still finalizing. I think they just finished the roof at Seal. At Seal and Rogelio.
Yeah, I can give you a quick update. So there are 43% of the construction completed.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
43% of all the construction completed. They're working on Seal Junior High, and it's already dried in. The lower roof, which is the weight room, and the higher one, which is the gymnasium. They're currently working on the perimeter edge, and those repairs are scheduled to be completed by next week. The next step will be to the cap sheet, and the contractor is scheduled to be out of Seal in about 3 weeks. And then after that, they're moving to Katie Martin. And then after hitting Martin, they're gonna go to the high school and Ortiz simultaneously, and that's gonna take about a week to complete that work, and they should be finished completely.
After the high school, Ortiz?
Ortiz in the high school will be the last, and the high school has a very small area, I don't know if you remember where it is, it's in the administration wing all the way to the, if you're on the street, all the way to the right-hand side.
Oh.
It has a little small area there that has had use for many years. Okay?
There's 4 campuses?
Yes. Ortiz, Seal, and high school in Haiti.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go to item 7, the consent agenda item. The next item, the approval of minutes, approval of the final 2018-2019 budget amendment, approval of resolution regarding extracurricular status of 4-H organizations for the 2019-2020 school year, and approval of the joint faculty agreement between Mrs. County and ISD for the 2019-2020 school year. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Morona, is there a second? Second by Mr. Lopez. Any questions? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, unanimous. Go to item 8, governance, A.
Trustees, at this point, we ask you to discuss and take possible action on all TASB update. This is TASB update from 113. Again, contains all the TASB updates for local and legal. Correct.
Recommendation was stated to take action on all TASB updates. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Morona, is there a second? Second by Mr. Lopez. Any questions? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, unanimous. We go to item 9, business and support. A, action item, sir.
Trustees, at this point, and this is a additional area that we have to look at, trustees, according to board policy. And the first one you see is discuss and consider approval of the 2019-2020 accelerated instruction budget. And that you can find on 103 as far as the summary, but I'd like to read the summary just so we're clear on this. The district is required to provide accelerated instruction under Education Code 29.081, B-1, shall separately budget sufficient funds, including funds under Education Code 42.152, for the purpose. A district may not budget funds received under Education Code 42.152 for any other purposes until the district adopts a budget to support additional accelerated instruction. So, assuming nothing, trustees, on this, the reason I'm reading this out is because according to the process and according to policy, we have to approve first the accelerated instruction budget. Why? And ladies, I need your help on this a little bit. That's basically your high school allotment, your bilingual, it's not,
State comp ed.
the state comp ed. That, because that's gonna have the instructional implications. So we adopt that first, and then we go into the regular budget after that.
This recommendation of staff that we approve and consider approval of the 2019-2020 accelerated instruction budget. Do I have a motion? I'll move. Mr. Lopez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Arona. Any questions? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Unanimous. We go to B, action item, sir.
Trustees, at this point, I'd like to discuss and consider adoption of the 2019-2020 proposed budget, including the 2019-2020 compensation plan.
This recommendation was state that we approve the adoption of the 2019-2020 proposed budget, including 2019-2020 compensation plan. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Solana, do I have a second? Second by Ms. Roldan. Any questions? Not all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Unanimous. The C, action item, sir.
Trustees, at this point, I'd like to discuss and consider adoption of the Robstown ISD tax rate for 2019-2020 as presented.
This recommendation was state that we adopt the Robstown ISD tax rate for 2019-2020. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Solana. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Lopez. Any questions? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Unanimous. Go to D, action item, sir.
Trustees, at this point, I'd like to discuss and take possible action on retaining the Brodor Law Firm regarding construction issues. At this point, trustees, they do have a presentation for you to ask any questions that you have. And we'll proceed at that point. So if I may have Mr. Mark Brodor from the law firm regarding, and to have your presentation. And any comments from the board?
Yeah, I'm gonna just address the board because, this item came before the board because you had approached me, and I wanted to make sure that the board had an opportunity to hear your presentation and make a decision based on the whole board having that, information.
Absolutely. And just so the board knows, this is based upon my discussions earlier with Ms. Didari. I've represented Robstown ISD previously, and always considered Robstown ISD a client. We had a very successful litigation back in the early 2000s. Mr. Lopez probably remembers the old litigation. I believe he was on the board at the time. And so that was an open-ended representation, but I believe we were able to reach a very good result and remediate your school in time for the students to come back to school. Ms. Vidal is no longer the superintendent, but I just followed up on the conversation I had with Ms. Arona and Ms. Garza and Ms. Roldan years ago about doing a facilities review. And the only reason I'm here tonight is, rather than say it any other time, is that there's a few statutes that will go into effect September 1. So I just want to make you aware of what those statutes are. And I prepared a presentation. As I understand it, you're an open session rather than closed session to explain those statutes. But I do appreciate the opportunity to be here before you. And Dr. Marino has been very helpful in facilitating. So I appreciate that, and the board as well. So if we could start. Oh, starting. As that restarts, I'll just basically describe that I'm all over in Texas, and I've, over the last 20 years, represented many school districts, starting in Robstown, and then moving on to San Diego ISD, Brooks County ISD, Career, Benavides, Bishop, and more recently, Somerset, Three Rivers. And I've represented these school districts in connection with both construction defect claims and coverage claims. Coverage claims are where an insurer has denied your claim, say for storm damage, and the school district has asked me to assist in trying to get that claim resolved. And so,
What was the second one?
where there's been a denied claim, for instance, the storm claims, the roofs that you're currently repairing, they assume that claim has been denied. And that's how I began my relationship with Robstown ISD, is you had a denied claim by Zurich. And so you asked me to step in, and so we litigated against Zurich in federal court and were successful in that representation. So from there, I've gone on to do a lot more of the construction defect claims, but I also do coverage litigation as well. And I have an office in Alice, nearby, and one in Dallas. And so I just appreciate the opportunity to serve these school boards, and sometimes the representation takes a while, but in the end, I've always represented these boards on a contingency basis, and for that reason, I brought some agreements with me. I took the same agreement that I had previously with Robstown ISD and modified it to take the contingency rate from 40% to 35%, and made other minor changes. There is one major change in it, and that is that it states that the client, Robstown, retains the right, and I'll pass this out because I just added it, to approve any action. In other words, I'd come back to the board with a presentation of the detailed defects that I know a little bit about, but not enough about, give the board an opportunity to decide what you want to do about that. So at this point, I'm adding that provision.
Sure.
So this provision that I'm discussing now is at the last sentence of paragraph 1, and it reads, "The client retains the right under this agreement to approve which claims are made under the agreement after a further board meeting detailing defects." So I'm not here before you today to say, let's go file suit. I'm here to say, I'd like to give you an opportunity to look at a couple of your structures that are less than 10 years old, to give you the right to decide what to do about that, and not charge the district for that facilities review. This is the agreement, and if I could just start the presentation, I have a very brief presentation on what I'm here for. So, next slide. I guess I control, don't I? All right, so I'm going to give you my quick background. I was licensed in 1987. I've been lead counsel for a lot of Texas ISDs, including Robstown, for construction defect and design cases. These are some of the ISDs that I represent. So some of them are right nearby, such as San Diego and Freer and Bishop in Nueces County, and some are quite a ways away, like Eagle Pass ISD. But the cases are fairly similar in the fact that it's a defect that the contractor says is not their fault, and I maintain that it is. Legislative changes that go effective September 1 are House Bill 2826 and House Bill 1734. I'm going to briefly review those. You have Mr. Bell as your counsel, and I believe Dr. Moreno has already seen these bills. I emailed them to him. Just so that you know, the first bill would make the agreement I just handed to you not something that you could enter into after Sunday. So after September 1st, any contingency fee agreement between the school district and council has to comply with House Bill 2826. And essentially, I'm going to show you some of the requirements that you'll have to fulfill after this Sunday. Essentially, you have to provide to the Attorney General's office these items, and I would as well. The reasons that you're not able to do it on your own resources, say hourly with your own counsel. The reasons that you can't do it using an hourly fee, and then F, the reasons you're entering into it on a contingency fee basis. Of course, this is the basis that we had our prior relationship was contingent fee. The need for obtaining legal services, the terms of the contract, the competence and qualifications of the attorney, the reasons the contract is in the best interest of the residents of the political subdivision, and then if it's approved by the Attorney General's office comptroller, then you have to show the following items. The substantial need for the legal services. The legal services can't be performed by anyone else in Section 2. And that you couldn't do it on an hourly basis, Section 3. And these items as well, in 2254.1037, you do a public information statement in which you provide all this information to the public, and then ultimately, B at the very bottom here, the Attorney General may refuse to approve the contract under subsection A if they find that, and then there's a whole laundry list, and I'll provide you with what it is, but essentially if they choose not to approve it, then you can't enter into that agreement. But ultimately, it will provide for variations of a contingency fee agreement in terms of its terms. And ultimately, if they find that you went forward anyway, they can void the contract and not permit that contract to be one of the school districts. So since all of the agreements I have with those school districts that I showed you are all contingency fee agreements, they're all grandfathered in, so they're not subject to this. But if I just show you this act, 1735, here are the provisions that I just, these are the additional provisions that you'd be subject to. Starting September 1, this other act, 1734, will provide that any action you do file will, that you bring under subsection B, you shall use the net proceeds from the action for repair of defective design, construction, renovation, or improvement of the facility in which the action is brought, including the repair of any ancillary damages in furniture and fixtures. So after September 1st, any action you bring, the funds obtained from that litigation have to be used for the project that you maintained was defective. Previously, that wasn't a requirement that I'm aware of in terms of all the other requirements that apply here. So the second provision is you have to, you can use it to replace the whole facility. You can use it to reimburse yourself for repairs you've made or other purposes with the written approval from the commissioner. And you also, after September 1, are going to have to provide the commissioner with an itemized accounting of any repairs you made. And you're going to have to be subject to a state's share. The state share of any recovery resulting from an action brought under subsection B, including any of your facilities that were financed by bonds for which the school district receives state assistance under subchapter A, chapter 46, is the state's property. So whatever the state's portion of your recovery in a construction defect litigation case would be the amount that they are responsible for, as they define it, as the state's property or the state's share. So there are accounting provisions for this, and as you see at the bottom, this act, just like the last one I showed you, states this act takes effect September 1, 2019. So these are two acts that weren't the law before September 1st, but will be the law after September 1st. So I'm not advocating that you need to file a case before September 1st, because obviously that's just in a few days. What I am advocating is that you enter into a contract so that you can have the experts that I retain look at your facilities, come back to you, show you what they found at no charge to the district, then let you make the decision what you want to do about that. Because I just think it would probably be too rushed to enter into to file a lawsuit to avoid the second act. So you're going to have to do this accounting with the Attorney General and show them, you know, we're filing suit over this, and then they'll determine if they have a state share in it. But the agreement that I've provided you does show that there's no risk to the school district or funds that you have to expend for this, just like the last contract we entered into years ago. The client will not owe the attorneys any fee for this representation if the funds recovered aren't sufficient to do it on a contingency fee basis. These are some of the experts that I've used in other cases that have been successful. Mr. Pachacano is here. He's an architect, and he's calculated damages in these cases. But as you can see, there are many civil engineers who are quite well recognized in the state for determining if there's any defect. I would submit to you that an objective third-party review of Driscoll Elementary and the high school additions would benefit the school district, regardless of whether you engage in litigation or not. Because at this point, you don't have that, and it will show how much potentially you have to pay out of your general fund to make the repairs. So that's what I'm proposing. Mr. Christmer would be looking at causation in this preliminary review that we would give to the superintendent and to the board members, and Mr. Pachacano would provide an analysis of any damages. Summarizing the approach, I've already gone through this section that I want you to have the right to approve anything in terms of any action toward any contractor. And again, I reduced it from 40% that we had before to 35%, and that's the end of my presentation. I would like, with your indulgence, to let Mr. Pachacano tell you just briefly what he thinks might be some issues that he has. Did you have any questions for me?
I have several, but
I'll just come back after Mr. Pachacano's presentation.
Well, he's gonna tell us some of the issues. Okay.
Yeah, but before we will get interviewing prior.
I'm interested in how you went on our property and find out.
review that I want you to rely upon for making a litigation decision, just to see the age of the building and basic construction of the building. And I've got a permission to do that.
It really depends on the board. I mean, I think the biggest thing is the process. That way y'all can ask and find out as much information as you need on the process. The timeline, again, trustees, these could be your questions, but I think that would be some clarity as far as the timeline, what are the pros and cons. I think we presented on the, what House bill was that? House Bill 2.
The first one, I believe, was the 17, go back. 1734 is on the contingency agreements no longer being permitted in the way that they have up until now. And that is 2254, Government Code Section 2254 now. And if you look in the Education Code, the second one involving state action involvement is Education Code Section 44.151.
So trustees, until there's a full analysis, that would be a step 2. That's if you choose as a board to move forward for additional analysis from the village itself. Right now, I think you'd be prepared to share any questions you have based on the process. Because the process or the point when he approached us was about the September 1st. I think we can make
that's my main
crystal
reason
clear
for being here.
So that's, I think, again, it's all up to you trustees, but that's probably a good starting point. And then you can determine what the next step of that would be to do an official analysis.
Correct.
Okay?
Do you have any questions for me? Probably better for me to field the questions first.
I have some.
Yes.
So, well, I have somebody to our president and our superintendent. How many attorneys do we have already? And are they qualified to do this? I guess I'm just confused as to why we're even open right now to accept another attorney. How many attorneys do we have? Like for John Bell, is he qualified? Does he know these acts and provisions that are going to start September 3rd?
I don't know about John Bell, I know about Cruz. He knows. But I don't, did you talk to
I spoke to both John Bell and I spoke to Juan Cruz as well. And I think they have different levels of experience within it. I believe John Bell has represented the school district in his previous lawsuit. I think that was the one back in the...
When Texas Descon left behind dry with the addition to the high school, I believe John Bell represented you in federal court with respect to the bonding company. At least that's what Mr. Dowry had told me. And I think John Bell and Mr. Cruz are both very good lawyers and would do an exceptional job. Their obvious focus is on representing you at the board meetings with respect to Texas school law. My focus is on a somewhat complex area, which is construction defect and coverage.
So on construction defects, we have an engineer, correct? So would it know of the defects? I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know what we have to have another. I'm sorry, if that upsets anybody, but we should already know right now if there's a defect. Am I missing something? Is there?
Other than, I guess the only other would you mention if the district has had a facility review,
Correct.
that would be one step to know.
That would be.
But if that's what we want, we could have already asked one of our current lawyers. We've never visited that as a board. Am I correct? We can ask any of our current lawyers to do that. I don't know what, I don't have a problem getting another attorney, honestly. Current, hold on, I wrote down my question.
I think your whole purpose for presenting to the board was because the term of the 10-year and older would be that some of our facilities are already aged.
Almost all of your facilities are too old for this. The only two facilities that you have, including the two identical elementaries that are 2008, the only two facilities that are within the statute proposed are Robert Driscoll Elementary and the addition to the high school.
And we have an engineer right now, so if we have to hire a lawyer to let us know of the defects, then we need to get a new engineer. I don't know why I'm so.
I think the main thing, Lori, is that Mr. Fodor can explain, your type of services is because you've done this kind of work for other districts.
Many times.
And you've gone in there and have determined
me just give an example. If you had water intrusion at Robert Driscoll because the contractor did not put in the back rods, all right, in the roof. The water then got into the walls and got into the area of the school and had to be cleaned up. Ordinarily, you'd say, well, we just need to replace those gaskets. And what I would look at is, do you have water damage in there that needs to be remediated so you don't have mold that we've already had in the school district? And how much would that cost to fix? Which is not something you would hear from an engineer or during, from the director of operations, but is a significant issue. I'll give you another example. Suppose you had cracks in the floor. If no one has looked at whether there's a slab crack, you wouldn't know whether you have a multi-million-dollar problem until you look at
As
it.
a school board, I would expect Rick Moreno to think outside the box and say, let me get my attorney, let's discuss with our attorney.
And there may be another law firm that would be willing to enter into a contingency fee contract before September 1st, but there won't be one that will be able to enter into one except under those restrictions after September 1st. And I'm just saying, I believe I'm the most qualified to do this based upon the number of cases that I've had down here, my previous representation of Robstown ISD, and the fact that most lawyers don't do this. So the last thing I would say is that I would provide the facilities review without charging the district for it, so that ultimately, Ms. Garcia, you can make the decision that we don't think that's a big enough situation to litigate, or we do, and ultimately leave it up to the board.
And you're saying free at no charge?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe there's a charge for everything. Is there a retainer charge?
No.
So what would the contract state?
That's what the contract states.
For example, where we can see someone is at the weight room or what's it called? The walls are,
The field house.
the walls are cracking.
The only reason I do that is that I just haven't been in situations where, too many of them, where I did the facilities review. I wouldn't do a facilities review if I didn't believe you had problems. At least that's with respect to Robert Driscoll, I believe you do. And so I don't, and it could be that the board votes later not to do anything like that. I'm completely fine with that. Because, it's gonna be based upon your decision and the expert's review. And I just say this because, that's the best situation for the district, I believe. I don't think that the new act that goes into effect September 1 would be, in my opinion. And that's why I present this now rather than maybe in a less rushed way.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is that okay?
I don't know.
Yes.
It depends on the,
I don't see her. I think so.
let's wait till.
She wants to ask a question. I don't. I think the board should get permission, Dr. Moreno.
Yes.
It's up to.
If you'd like to give permission, Ms. Collins, I'll ask a question if you're okay with that.
Ask the question to whom?
Yes, no?
I approve. It's in the open right now, so it's the opportunity to ask instead of not asking and not knowing what.
This is to me, this is a board decision and not an employee decision. So that feels like, it's us that make the decision and nothing in you.
That's okay. You wanna ask me the question and then I can ask him a question.
I would say that I represented Dr. Savalas at Benavides, says he was my boss when he was superintendent at Benavides, so I appreciate the fact that he's
I have
here.
a question. If there were an issue, who would you be suing?
I would provide you with the analysis of the experts as to who's responsible for that, and most likely it's the contractor, the general contractor, because under these contracts, the general contractor is responsible for any mistakes of the subcontractors. So say it's a plumbing mistake, it's still the general contractor that's responsible. Most of the time, it's not a design issue, it's not the architect, it's the fact that the plans don't match the actual construction.
Is there a possibility that a contractor could sue the district, countersue?
That's never happened in my experience.
Can I interject? Now, you say you go after the contract.
Yes,
Okay, say the contractor is going bankrupt.
like Texas Descom, yes. Who built
I'm not
properties.
giving any names.
Right.
But say,
I represent San Diego ISD for Bernardo Jaime Junior High against Texas Descom. So I'm very familiar with the problem policy, the CGL policy they had when built. Also, it doesn't relieve the subcontractors of liability under their insurance policies. So the answer is, even with the defunct, dead Texas Descon, there's still liability and a path to recovery for a school district, in my opinion.
After that, you go after the insurance company.
Yeah, all the time, it's, the insurance company comes in and is responsible, but the actual party is the contractor. So Texas Descon would be the actual party, not the insurance company. The insurance company is the one who pays, because that's who pays.
Is there a statute of limitations?
Yes, the statute of limitations for school districts, you don't have a statute of limitations. You're a governmental entity, so you have a statute of repose. Statute of repose looks like a statute of limitation, but it's a little different. It starts when your substantial completion certificate is signed, and it goes for 10 years. So your certificate of substantial completion on Driscoll and on the high school editions would give you 10 years from the date of that before you can no longer file suit. And so the main difference between a statute of limitation and a statute of repose is that a statute of limitation has a discovery rule. So you could say, well, it might have been built 11 years ago, but we didn't discover the defect until 9 years ago, so we're still good. But you can't do that with a statute of repose. It's whenever it was built, you only have 10 years. And I do suggest that you don't have much time left on the construction of Robert Driscoll under the statute of repose, just looking at the plaque.
And do we have issues there that could be of a concern?
Well, that's what they would.
I believe so, and really, with your permission, Ms. Garza, I'd like Mr. Pachacano to be able to field that question if you would permit it. Not in, and actually, Mr. Lopez, it's not a detailed analysis. That is something that you engage with.
And I understand that, sir, but I don't think that the board should hear yet, unless you're.
And I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. So I believe, to answer your question, yes, we believe so.
Based off of what?
Very summary, just walking through.
Walking through our school?
Yes,
You went into our school?
yes.
Did you know that?
I knew that he was supposed, I didn't know that he had gone in there, because I talked to Dr. Moreno, and he told me it's on him to go ahead, and then he went and told me that he could go.
And if it's a mistake, I apologize. I thought that I just wasn't to do a full analysis or what we're talking about proposing now, but to see how old it is and essentially, how it was built, because the other Texas Descon case where I do represent the school district is completely different than this one. So,
How long did he approach you, Eva? I would like to have all my questions answered before I do a vote. I don't feel comfortable doing it
I
right
will,
now.
I'll mention them, because that's what I told Dr. Moreno. He called me like on August 7th, and then I, forwarded the message to Dr. Moreno. I gave Mr. Broder, Mr. Moreno's information, and I don't know if you had asked me for Mr. Lopez's information at that time, but I know you made contact with Dr. Moreno, but the board was not gonna meet until August 29th, so there was.
For how long have you known about September 1?
oh, I've known about September 1 since the first week of June, or I'm sorry,
So you
the last week of May.
So we could do our homework. Give us a fair chance.
Yes, I could have been here even earlier, yes.
Right, I'm just speaking for myself, sir.
All right. No, I know that this is close to September 1, no, I apologize for that. A little bit. And again, that's why I'm saying, Ms. Garza, not to make a decision on whether you would enter into litigation against a particular contractor. And that's why I've inserted the clause at the end of the first paragraph. That would be after a facilities review. In other words, you would approve whether or not to sue.
I'm only gonna say one more thing and I'm finished with this. I feel like our district has been doing nothing but positive accolades. It's been really nice this last year. This is just my opinion. I feel if we hire this attorney or do a contract with him, I feel like we're giving somebody the okay to go into our schools and just break apart and really look for something so they find somebody to sue. My opinion, I don't think that we need to go to that side yet, unless there's something that I don't know if legal seems so, and we've had attorneys this whole time. Right.
Well, the only thing I'm gonna add, Lori, is that the fact that having a facility review would be to inform the board, not to go and just look for something that, if it's not there, it's not there. You know, he would go in and let us know, because he would have the experts going in there. And for the district to be, we're held accountable for anything that's wrong with our facility. We actually house kids there, we have teachers there daily, that's not where we go to every day. So if there is something wrong, I'd like to know. That doesn't mean this board will decide if they will sue. The board, this is what this agreement is for. Now, the other thing is, this is the first time we've seen this agreement. So if there's a question with anything of it, I mean, tonight, if the board would approve hiring you, that doesn't mean it gets signed today. We'd
No.
like to have.
I would like your
legal counsel.
superintendent to look at it, John Bell to look at it, all the board members to look at it, and determine whether there's anything you want to change, and only execute it after you're satisfied with the language of it.
The only thing I'm interpreting from this would be, if we don't hire you or any other attorney, then any problem that's gonna be in the next, couple of years with that facility before the term expires, then it's gonna be coming out of our budget.
That would be a point that I didn't raise, is that currently you would come out of your general fund to make any necessary repairs to make sure the facility was the way that it should be. So I'm proposing that you not take it out of your general fund and come out of contractor, if it's a contractor's mistake. And last I'd say about the district and its reputation, back in the early 2000s, we engaged in some extensive litigation and didn't see any, that I saw, negative repercussions from it. We were just recovering. We cleared the whole district of mold, which was a big deal back then. So I'm not suggesting that this might be a small situation compared to that, but we did a good thing together. Me as your lawyer and you as a district, we did a good thing. And it was positive for the community, it was positive for the school, and I'm only proposing doing something that would be positive for you. And that's why you have the ultimate right to just say, no, we see the facilities, but we've got enough money to handle that. You go on.
One question I have, so I think it would maybe put some of the board members at ease. You have approached other school districts as well. Have you recently, or is it just about?
I've been approached by other school districts, by Eagle Pass ISD, by Pettis ISD, by Brooks County ISD, who have retained me. And yes, recently, they're all in the last, because they see the September 1 deadline looming, and they know that it would change the way in which they would try to remedy the problem. So, this is an open session. That was in closed session.
I have a question for Lopez. So let's say that it's passed by the board, but the agreement's not signed until changes and agreements and what if we don't come to an agreement? But it was.
That's a good question. That's a good question. And the way I read the act, ma'am, is that the agreement, however it's changed, has to be entered into prior to September 1, which is Sunday. So that's my understanding, is that if you passed it, but there wasn't a formal agreement, I think the letter of this statute is that then it would be a post-September 1 agreement, which would just mean that we have to then not have it in these terms. It wouldn't be a contingency fee agreement as such. It would be the lesser of a modified hourly with a multiplier or 35%.
Just zero for you, right?
Cost nothing, yeah, I mean, ultimately,
We really try our hands on this one, sir.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Well,
I'd like to find out if there are any other questions. I'd like to amend the comment.
I think that, I've heard of incidents that were critical leaks, and I think that I have asked if it's sometime or another since that was built. And this is a change of government, change of boards, and it always seems, the clerk, the answer was always, no, it's not warranty, it's something that we have to fix, along with any other campus that would have on the board when it was built, I was on the, I was. I did some of the inspections, some of the plans reviews, but we do it the city. I know there were issues there with some of the drainage from the, roof that caused a lot of problems, whether they were repaired or redirected to another portion, I don't know, but again, I never got the answers as a board member. I knew the problems were there, but the answers were, I never received the answers. So,
I think we return to Ms. Garza's comment. If we were just out there looking for defects you don't even know about, that would be one thing, but what's been happening in Robert Driscoll has been an ongoing problem for years now. So.
and not so long ago, I think,
You're aware of that, there is
As
an
far,
issue.
as far as I'm aware, and Troy is here, I think there were some repairs made to some gaskets that were part of the leaks. Anything else that you want to add?
Right now, like I said, those gentlemen are professionals. They helped other districts in the state of Texas. If they're gonna help out the district, they're gonna find it.
But the last thing you told me was, as far as the roof is concerned, what was the last repair that was done?
Gaskets, roof gaskets.
Okay, what does that mean?
Those are drains. Those are gaskets that go around the roof drains, and around the drain, there's a insulation. Water is going behind the drain, inside the insulation, which was trying to find a way that it can go 1, 2, 3, or 4 classrooms down, because the gaskets were worn out. That's where the water and the draining on the classroom. We brought in Tranquil, and they did a modification on those drains that were leaking, and so far right now, but we have over 27 roof drains. We modified 18 of them.
So I think like what Richard is saying, like,
and I believe that it wasn't, the district shouldn't have paid. I'm kind of happy that these guys came to us right before the third day, because I had mentioned to previous attendants, and it seemed just to go away. Another issue that we had not too long ago was the bathrooms, right? The water wasn't draining properly or something.
Well, wasn't it at the high school we had the connection issue?
I feel that it is our responsibility that our citizens and our taxpayers' money is most important. This is a perfect opportunity to show that, yes, we're going to go after the construction companies that are not honoring their warranties or whoever's responsible.
well, but in essence, any income would come from the bonding companies. Is
They
that
cover
correct?
the insurance companies.
The insurance companies.
At least we can look into it to see, to make a determination if there is an issue, and then we can decide whether we need.
And not us have to pay for it. Let the warranty or the insurance company pay for it. And I think that'd be a plus for us.
So with this agreement, if it's approved tonight, then if there's any questions with regards to the language in there, does that dissolve it?
No, because the way that I've always done this is that the board approves or doesn't approve, and then the superintendent is authorized to enter into an agreement. These are the same terms as you entered into way back in 2000, except that the fee is now 35% instead of 40, and there's a provision that gives you then later board meeting to decide whether you want to litigate. If there's a large problem, then you may, and if there isn't, then there's no cost to the district. So I put that in because of Ms. Garza's concern that, this is close to September 1 to decide whether to file suit. You need to do more inspection and more review. And Mr. Pacheco here is prepared to do a very thorough review. He is, a college professor and teaches at A&M and Columbia University. He's an architect here in Texas. Mike Christopher, the other person who made the review, has worked for you before and did an exceptional job and has helped a lot of school districts. And I propose that this facilities review be open to everyone, the public, the contractors, the architect for the district, everyone to look at. And if anyone disagrees with it, they can, but at least problem, or, you know, here's how we have to fix that problem. Right now, you don't really have that because the maintenance department is here to maintain, but not to determine whether this is an ongoing problem.
Any other questions?
I'll just add a comment. My comment will be that in the last several years that I've been on the board, and pretty much all the constructions that we've had, Robstown ISD Board of Trustees, there's different boards, going back to when I came on board in 2007, and Richard came on with me. We've never hired a construction project, whatever, project manager. And so that's always been my concern. I know I voiced it in prior, meetings when that decision was coming forward, but because of lack of the majority of the board, that never happened. Because it's an expense to the district. So you're not having the right people overseeing. Yes, we have our architects and we have our engineers that should be on top of it, but after the construction's over, things happen and we don't know about it, like Richard's saying, and you're finding out, but it's our responsibility. That's my whole reason for making sure that this came to the board, because it's not my responsibility, it's our responsibility. And as a board member, I feel I would like to know, because we have staff members, we have students that go to that building every day to school. So it matters to me. So
I have one more. So if this is approved today, you're saying that you're gonna do your surveys, get your professional for free.
Yes, ma'am.
For free.
Yes.
Is it continuous?
You're gonna come to the board and say, this is what I found. So if the board decides to go to litigation or to sue, it's still free.
Yes.
It's still
The
free.
expenses of the case would not include the review that IDU provided,
Would not include the review.
the cost of the review,
So there is a cost to the review.
to me.
He's saying it won't be part of,
Okay,
when
so
we move forward.
it's still free at this point. So then
Because-
you come to us and then let's say, okay, let's go out to sue. Go ahead and we give you permission to go sue. So if we win, that's when you get your fee.
Yes,
If
only
we
when,
lose,
no fee,
no,
no expense to the district.
and all of that's gonna be in black and white.
It's all in this agreement, yes. The expenses are just litigation expenses and not the facilities review. It says there's no fee to charge to the district if I'm not successful. It says that any proceeds, any payment of expenses would have to come out of the gross recovery to the district. And I just say that I've been successful for those districts that I listed up there. So it hasn't ended up to be a loss for me.
Is there a list of your ones you have been successful for?
No. The only case that I haven't won was the first case I ever did, which was before Arthur ISD. Every other case I have either settled it favorably or not, and that was an arbitration.
So even expenses you, like his expense would also not come to the district.
At the end of the litigation, for the litigation expert expenses, it would be taken out of the recovery.
That's how it's done.
That 35 is up, yeah. But not for the facilities review. I'm just estimating that, there would be a pretty good charge from, Mr. Pachacano and from Mr. Christopher for doing that, because they want to be thorough for you, and it may take 3 weeks or 4 weeks to do, so that 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, whatever amount it is, I would just eat that in the belief that if the district's going to go forward with this, it's because I'm showing that this is a substantial economic problem that would have to come out of your general fund. So you're going to be able to recover enough to justify that.
Now, would you want our architect to be able to go along with you?
Absolutely. I know Janak, and I would have no problem with Mr. Janak being a part of it. I would assume that Mr. Janak's plan is not a problem. You've got a company that left you high and dry over there at the high school right after they finished this project, and I assume when we look at it, we'll see the plans don't match the construction. That's just an assumption. But I'm not here favoring doing anything against Mr. Janak.
But who's signing off on all the construction work? Didn't you not?
Yes.
So if you go after the contractor, what do they in turn go after the engineer signing it off?
Under Texas law, they're not allowed to. There's a rule called the economic cost rule, and if you just assume that every contract you enter into is a line, you have lines going to the construction side and then a line going to the architect side. So the architect hires the engineers under him, and the general contractor hires the contractors under him. And the Texas Supreme Court says you can't just can't jump from the architect side to the, I'm sorry, from the contractor side over to the architect side. Now, the district has a line to the architects. They can file suit, but not the contractor. They could blame the architect, but they can't sue the architect. In other words, one of our defenses against Rothtown ISD is that it's the architect that is playing. But they can never involve the architect in litigation. And that's why I feel comfortable that, the district would not accept an egregious situation involved Mr. Jeanette.
Wasn't it this board that approved Jeanette? Wasn't it approving Jeanette and now having somebody come in and want to observe his work and make sure?
But it's not his work.
Well, no, it's Jeanette, and then approves the work that needs to be done. So now we're saying we approved Jeanette and Associates to come and build our schools, but now we don't trust him enough because we don't know who he hired. So now let's bring in an attorney to see what he has done.
He doesn't hire
That we did, okay, and now we're going to get somebody to come and observe the work that the hearing board members put on.
Right.
Not so much the work, it's whether they're hired or not.
Not only that,
It's for the people that
I remember that a lot of this work, a lot of the
when we have De La Paz construction, so we're going to go to De La Paz and look at the work that they
also,
because half of it was done shut.
if he did shoddy work, all we go out.
I mean, that didn't say much for us, we didn't do our homework, and most of the people, the board approved most of these people come in, whether they knew that or not.
But I think it's asking too much of the board to say there's a construction defect, it's our fault because we improved, because you're not out there looking at our construction.
Well, there's also too much to ask for you to come over here and have us make a decision before September 1.
the other question I have is some of these defects are not uncovered right at the time you approve.
Typically, 4 or 5 years later,
That's what I'm thinking, that's when you start seeing the problems too.
Another, give an example, during the construction of our system, they wanted to use aluminum wire to come in and feed the building. It's not allowed in the city of Rockland. They have to use copper wire. Aluminum is cheaper, I guess.
My only point is that I don't think it's our fault. I don't think
The fire, it's involved.
I like to, I'm sitting there just kind of dying inside. There's thank you for allowing me to speak with, we have an associate, we have a long relationship with this board. I think we have a good communication, a good working relationship. And the issues that have arisen in the past is that the gas we did address it. We talked to the manufacturer, directly to the manufacturer, because it was a manufacturer issue. It wasn't a consultant, a subcontractor, a contractor. It was a product that was manufactured. So we went back and forth and we retrofitted them. And a lot of them were within the warranty for the first 2 years. And then, as you all know, that's under and it was hard to get a hold of it. But we continue to work with them to get this fixed. The restrooms that was set behind it was all no cost to the school district, and it was fixed and needed to work. I was out there after hours, trying to get that rectified. The aluminum that you were talking about, that one was it's a many cities. That was a complaint here, but that was something that was close as Valley Engineer denied it, and then the city said no, it's not out here, so we took it out. It's not like it's there. So they were having a lot of issues when the project is perfect, and they are their best. And I can tell you, I can stand here because I love this district, and this is my pride and joy of the project because I worked on it a lot. And I feel that it's a very nice project. I feel like I'm part of it, and I feel like we have the issues that someone is going to be looking for. I just want to strongly advise you to talk to your attorney, to John Bale, so you know exactly what you're getting into. Because I was part of the lawsuit with this. I'm telling you that was not pleasant at all. And Rowdy and Ismael were here, and I wish they were here still so they could give you, how when because people were attacked by bombing company, that was not easy. So I just want you to make that decision. And I want you to make an educated decision. And I know that we have one neighbor. road. I'm trying to be very careful how I'm wording. It's gonna be difficult not to find something because yeah, that feels, I mean, that's right. I feel like be happy with that time, the 10 years that this guy can be looking at this deal, they wouldn't have found. That's that.
I think, and I'm gonna end with this on my, I think we discussed this long enough. Our responsibility is not to go out and look for problems. I don't think this intention is to do that. But if there are problems, why wouldn't we want to know? Why wouldn't we want to take care of them through the bonding companies that are responsible? I have to my car. If there's something wrong, if I hit somebody, I'd like to cover the person. I wouldn't want them to be responsible. That's my responsibility. That's why I pay for my insurance every month. I don't let it lapse. I think everybody feels that's the same way. When we go into agreements with construction companies, we want good faith work. And if we're not getting it, and there's issues right now that are going on, why would we want to find out? That's my.
And you're absolutely right. I think that I'm not trying to, obviously I'm a little bit trying to speak for this because it's trying to solve into this whole thing. But I feel that you need to, maybe need to talk to Dr. Brown so that you can get kind of like the process was last time. Because I'm not sure if it came up to you guys and explain to you what was happening. Yes, but
Another angle that I think it would really put us in a bad position.
I think that's because the bonding company didn't just say, oh, okay, you found some whatever, they used a check. It wasn't actually the bonding company, it ended up suing all of us. So that's what created a difference there. But I'm not sure. I'm just saying what happened that last time. I just want to make sure that you all understand what you're getting at.
John Bell, was probably historical data. So what happened before, you know, we approached it, go yet. But what are you looking at? And basically, one of the things he told me he
if I could